Hello, my friends. Welcome to the Metal Shop. Part 2 of the Jeff Beck Tele-Gib, starting with some relicing of the medical parts. Medical? Starting with some relicing of the metal parts. We're still without Skycam here, so you're going to have to bear with me while we are held hand. Boo. So, I am doing a little bit of light relicing on the metal parts here. Most of it is it's nickel or chrome. And what this is in here is the liquid that's PCB etchant solution. And this schmutz here is from an older project, same PCB etchant solution, but it turns into like a gel or a slurry. So I'm applying some of it with the liquid with a Q-tip, and the gel, I'll just use like a little screwdriver or a little shard of wood, something like that. Actually, I need to clean that off. Relicing the tip of the screwdriver there. So I've kind of applied the gel, kind of slop to the pole pieces and the slugs here. You can kind of see it there. And I'll leave it on and I'll wipe it off probably tomorrow. Does a good job. These screws relic pretty quickly. Control plate relic pretty good. I've already wiped it off once and kind of applied it in a circular pattern there to kind of mimic when you're kind of going after the knobs. I did paint that pickup ring where I believe the rear pickup ring on Jeff's Tele-Gib was black and it had been painted and the cream colored paint was wearing off. This one was fine in all the pics, and either it just didn't get any wear and tear on it, or this was just a cream one, this was just a black one. More than likely this was a cream one, this was a black one that Seymour or whoever had to paint, maybe for a height thing or something like that. I did put a little bit of PCB etchant solution on here. If it's really chrome and really shiny, the stuff doesn't work as well as it should. I've also been referring to pictures and just kind of been whacking away at this thing, putting more relicing on. I don't want to go crazy, but every time I look at a picture, I find spots, oh, there's more wear and tear, there's more wear and tear. I need to do a little bit more. Like I really didn't do enough right there. That edge, if I can hold this with one hand, this edge here is all supposed to be worn, sanded away. I looked at a better close-up pic. Kind of went ham here on the input jack. You saw that. Got some super glue there. Doesn't matter. It just adds to the overall, product here that I'm making. Once I bolted this all together, man, does that look good. Oh yeah, here's the neck plate. I think I mentioned that. I did this is toilet paper, it's not tissue. You can use tissue paper, that's better, and it just holds the etchant solution onto the surface. And it's kind of weird, those black spots. It's something in the TP. I've already peeled it back and checked. I'm not going to do it again. It's not doing anything different to the plate underneath. I may try my hand at stamping the plate. I do have some metal die stamps. And putting the same serial number that Jeff's had into this plate. So yeah, we're whacking away at it, a little bit of progress. Just wanted to show you the relicing of the nickel and the metal parts, because it's an important part of the puzzle there, part of the completed picture. Cool. All right, so we left off where we were, was relicing some of the parts, and I came up with some mixed results. The neck plate, that was a fail. So those little black marks in the tissue paper that was sitting on there, although I did flip up the tissue paper to make sure that it wasn't doing exactly what I thought it was doing, it 100% was. This is very thin, cheap chrome from this offshore part and ruined this. But it did give me the opportunity to practice stamping in the numbers. Tough to see there, but it does have the serial number stamped in, so that was a fail there. Some of the other parts came out fine. The screws all reliced really nicely. The pole pieces on this pickup kind of got a nice gray to them. The slugs didn't really do anything on either. And the pole pieces here, the adjustable pole pieces, the fillister screws here on this pickup, these are different manufacturers, didn't really do much. I did apply a little bit of the PCB board etchant there, the acid solution to this. Didn't really do a whole heck of a lot. Kind of discolored this a little bit, put some rust pock marks in it. You know, is what it is. So anyway, I did get another neck plate, and I did it differently this time. I put it in this container so that the fumes will get after it, and it worked to a certain extent. Didn't work as well as I had hoped, but it's fine. It is fine. So there we have the proper number stamped in. We do have some relicing there. Yeah, that's just some actual schmutz there on the bottom. Stand by. Looks like some actual bit of the acid there etched up, or sorry, whipped up the tape a little bit, but that's fine. Yeah, this has got some, I don't know, like like it tried to evaporate and landed on top of the plate itself. So anyway, yeah, it's fine. This will be nice. This looks pretty decent and worn in there. I've got the we're finished relicing the body, and I think it came out pretty well. Like I said, I was able to scrutinize the picks of Jeff Beck's actual guitar and go and make the marks, so you're not just willy-nilly trying to relic this to make it look old on what you think it looks old. I was trying to mimic that piece, and Jeff's guitar is really beat up, and I figure, I don't remember what year Seymour Duncan gave it to him, made it for him, did the swap. I think it was in the early 70s, so this guitar was probably pushing 20 years old, if not 20 years old, at the time that Seymour Duncan gave it to Jeff. So it was already, you know, pretty well worn. Jeff obviously used it quite a bit. You know, we got the paint scun off here. Some more dings that were apparent in the photos. You know, some more here. Yeah, so I think it came out great. I got the strap buttons installed, which leads me to, I forgot. This happens when you got a lot of projects going on, but I forgot that I'd ordered these really nice road-worn strap buttons, which quite honestly look, the ones I had were used, but these look much better. So I'm going to swap these out onto the guitar, but I forgot that I had these. Funny, that happens more than you'd think it does. Got the string trees, Fender string tree parts here. These I do not put on until the guitar is strung up. There's no really good template for that. The strings is the best template that you can have for your string trees. So once the guitar is strung up, we'll put these on. These are the tuners we're using. Again, Fender part. These are road-worn Clousons. These are really nice. They're not super expensive. This is exactly what was on Jeff's guitar. So, yeah, nice. I think there's like $60 or something like that. So that is a win right there. Let's get this body aside. I can show you the neck. So here is our neck. This is one of those, says it's made in Canada, ships from Canada, but I think the guy probably buys containers of Chinese parts. I don't know. This has the truss rod adjustment here, so we know that's not correct. It has 22 frets, which I made a concession for. The neck looks the part. It really does. This looks just like Jeff's neck. The coloration is right. Like I said, a couple of concessions. Jeff's had no logo on it. I'm going to leave the logo on just because if I sanded it off and it's on top but there's clear, I think it's going to make a nasty discoloration. You'll never match up. You have to refinish the whole headstock. And is it going to match this nice kind of yellow golden hue that they have. I don't think that I'd be able to get that, so I'm going to pass that on to the the next owner, the end user of this. So yeah, serial number on the back. Yeah, this is, like I said, product of Canada. Yeah, sure it is. Fret ends, not terrible. So yeah, some concessions. We're gonna have the logo. We're gonna have 22 frets, which to me, I think that's much better for playability. I have test fit the neck in the pocket. It is perfect. It fits nice and snug. As a matter of fact, it's gonna be tough to see it, but it left some witness marks here when because I had to put it in from the top and push it down in. That's how nicely and tightly that it fit. So I'm going to install those cloisons in a time lapse and get the neck mounted, and we'll go from there. All right. So cool. We're getting there. Quick little edit. I wanted to put in this little wear mark that Jeff's guitar had, obviously from a strap going back and forth like that. And you know what worked great was the Dremel with the little sanding drum, and you put it on an angle and it cut right through that paint like a hot knife through butter. I ended up using that Dremel with that sanding drum to do a lot of the relicing for this guitar. Also, yeah, got to bleed for your art a little bit there too. The file slipped. I'm not sure how I did that, but I cut myself twice in one shot. Definitely got to bleed for your heart. Cool. Okay, so completed all of those tasks. Oh, I still got to change those strap buttons. Got the neck mounted. You kind of saw my process there. And it's hard to tell from the time lapse, but when I was putting the screws in, one of them went in really hard, and then the next two went in really easily. I'm like, what is the deal? So I checked the screws thinking, do I have different lengths? I swear they all came out of the same. This was a brand new, the same bag, it was a plate with the screws. And no, two of them are fine thread, two of them are coarse thread. That's what you get. So I put the coarse thread here and here and the fine thread here and here to kind of equal out the distance. You saw we had some issues with the tuning pegs where the bushings, these are adapter bushings. So these bushings are big, you know, to run in like a 10 millimeter hole to adapt this Cloison tuner to a modern hole. Well, I have, you know, vintage holes drilled in this. So typical as me, I tried to do this one with the reamer and didn't really get it big enough. So just kind of pounded it home. And then I'm like, God, please don't split. Please don't split. But I was kind of committed. Tried to pound it back out. Stuck in the screwdriver. I was like screwed. So then I got out my machinist drill bits. Like, let's just do this the right way. Drilled one and then two. Should have stopped at one. Tiny little bit too big. They go in with just a little bit of pressure from your thumb. No big deal. A couple of drops of, you know, CR glue. And those will be fine. And these three I got with the right sized, the perfect size. Not too big, not too small. So they tap in and they're going to stay in there. My goodness. You saw me get the tuners aligned with a straight edge, mark the holes with a pencil, then a center tap, and then drill And then I also use a little bit of wax. I just use, this is just Blistex, lip balm, on each of the threads, so that, because last time I got in a hurry and I was driving them all in with the driver, and I ended up putting a little split in the headstock. Not ideal. So just, it's like with everything, take your time, do it the right way once. My dad always used to say, and I love to sprinkle these sayings into these videos. Hopefully someday my kids will watch these and they'll learn these sayings that have been passed down to me. It's like, there's never enough time to do it right, but there's always enough time to do it twice. And he's 100% right. Just get the proper drill bit and enlarge those holes. And I could have enlarged them the entire way, made my life easy, but I didn't. I tried to just do a little bit, make your life easy, work smarter, not harder. So yeah, got the neck mounted up, a couple of dings. I don't know how those dings got in the neck. They must have already been there and I didn't notice. So a good point to stop right here. What we're going to do next, I'll probably have to take that neck off countless times to get it right. Hopefully it doesn't need a shim or anything. I sighted it. It looks pretty nice and straight. I'll have to check intonation here. Hang on. Let's see if I can do this without knocking the camera. Anyway, we can check our basic scale length. Now we're good. That's 25.5. Yeah, so that's good. We're probably not going to have to adjust fore and aft too terrible much there. Next time we'll get this thing strung up and playing good, playing well, playing awesome. How about that? And in its case, and ready for the next owner. Yeah. All right, well, that's going to close out the Tele-Gib. Just a quick little two-parter there. You saw in the time lapse, got it strung up, got the string trees put on, and like I said, pro tip, I always wait till the guitar's strung up to put the string trees on. You're drilling holes in the headstock. If they don't line up, you're pretty much screwed. So in this thing, I have to say, it doesn't always work out like this. Some guitars take a ton of work, like the Van Halen 2, for example. This one, the neck fit extremely tightly in the pocket. Like, again, I had to come from the top. I couldn't slide it in. Pushed it down, super tight. I used just the 4-bolt neck plate, no neck gasket, and it cranked down really tight. I kid you not, my friends, I put this neck on one time. I haven't had to take it off. There's no shims in here. That almost never happens. I'm usually taking the neck on and off to make adjustments. This went on one time, and I had to crank up the saddles, which was expected. And the neck's, it's just, it's about dead flat, tiniest little bit of relief. And every once in a while, you just hit it just perfectly. Cranked up the saddles, and again, intonation is a compromise with a Tele with just 3 saddles, so I checked the intonation. Very, very, very accurate. A couple are out, like a couple of cents. Again, nothing you can do about it. This does have compensated cuts in the saddles to get it as close as possible. Plug the guitar in to test it, and I had tested it previously. I had just plugged it in here on the bench and tapped on the pickups. Everything worked great. Plugged it into the amp. No output whatsoever. I bring it back to the workbench. I take this out. I check on my connections. They're all tight. Plug it in here just on a whim. Plenty of output. Sounds just fine. Go to put the plate back on. And I left the volume turned up. Plenty of output, plenty of output. As soon as I cranked it down and tightened it, output went away. And it took me just a second to figure out. Remember the shielding paint I painted in there? Well, good old 5-way was touching the shielding paint, and it's well grounded, that we proved that, and it was grounding itself out. So put a piece of electrical tape just underneath the 5-way switch in there just to shield it, and we've got plenty of output again. I said sometimes it just works out. And I will say this, all the guitars I've built, I've had more Teles come out home runs, just sound great, just ring like a bell. I don't know what it is about it. The simplicity of the bridge, just the most basic of guitars, but I've had a few Teles, and quite honestly, the other Tele-Gib I built with the Tune-O-Matic tailpiece, that thing sounded great. A good friend of mine that actually ended up buying that one. It sounded fantastic. So I won't give you too much of a sound sample, but we'll try our hand here just a little bit, just to show that it works. It's a little bit off camera, you can't really see that. We get some good volume there. Yeah, reasonable. I mean, that's on my little GK bench amplifier right there. So, lots of compression and gain. Not really necessarily what Jeff Beck would have sounded like, that's for sure. I did wire the pickups out of phase. You can switch one wire if you didn't like it out of phase. This is going to be up for sale on Reverb. You check out Tele-Gib. You may notice the pole pieces don't line up very well, and it's funny because I watched an interview with Seymour Duncan, and he talked about it, how the original Tele-Gib that he built for Jeff Beck, and then he built one, that was the difference there. He built one that looked just like this for Jeff Beck. He then built one for himself that had the Tune-O-Matic so that he could fix the string spacing and some other issues. That's where the butterscotch clear grain Tele came. When Seymour Duncan, when he built his run of Tele-Gibs, he built them after his guitar, not the guitar he built for Jeff Beck. Kind of confusing. Anyway, they don't line up great, and it's funny, it's fine. The pickup's cranked up here quite a bit, and the pole pieces are cranked up quite a bit, just like Jeff's. I saw an interview with Grover Jackson. He talked about the difference between Fender spaced or Floyd Rose spaced, F spaced pickups, and he just laughed, and he said, completely unnecessary. He's like, you don't need that. He's like, the magnetic field that the pickups are generating, the strings, the magnetic field they're creating with the pickup, he said, is so strong. He said you don't need to have the pole pieces right under. And quite honestly, I wanted Gibson space pickups in this to mimic the original, and who knows, maybe it will sound a little bit more like Jeff's. These are Artec Guitar Madness pickups by Artec, and they're the 59. They're a little bit hotter wound 59, or he calls them the 59er, 59ER, and that's what both of these pickups are. Sound pretty good, in my opinion. Again, we did have a couple of concessions. 22 fret neck. This body has contours, and again, I like the contours. The concessions that I made are really for playability. 22 fret neck. The contours, and we left the logo on the headstock. Those are the only real differences. The end purchaser of this, if you wanted to gently sand the logo off the headstock, that would be up to him. I think it may discolor it, and then you're kind of stuck, so I left the logo on. But anyway, this will wrap it up for the Jeff Beck Tele-Gib. I'm really, really thrilled with how this came out, and I'm telling you, it sounds really good. Sometimes you just get the perfect storm, things come together, and they just work. Put that neck on one time. It's just nothing short of amazing. Sounds great. Anyway, my friends, truly do appreciate your support. Thanks for the view, and please hit me up in the comments. Still respond to all my comments. Give me that old thumbs up. Helps the algorithm to recommend me. And like I said, I really, truly do appreciate appreciate your support and helping me grow my channel. You know, it's doing good. Jeff Beck Tele-Gib. Dig.